how do toxic jobs steal and harvest our creativity? We're going to be talking about that today. If you're new here, my name is Marissa Price. I am a liberatory life coach. I'm the co-founder of the Job Liberation Virtual Summit for Black Women coming up online May 1st through the 3rd. And I have incredible guests with me today, Apryl, our Summit Moderator, and our wonderful Summit speaker, Alecia Renece The Artist. So I'll pass it over to Apryl to introduce herself, and then Alecia after that.
Hey, I'm Apryl, former type A plus personality, recovering people pleaser, and I'm out here living my carefree life. I laugh loud, I laugh often, and I do things that bring me joy. So that's me. And I'm drinking my coffee. I haven't had my coffee yet, so I'm drinking coffee.
Thank you. Alecia.
Yes, I am Alecia. I am a beautiful human being. I create things with my emotions and my feelings, whether that be videos, podcasts, songs, photographs. I'm a very present person, and I'm grateful to be here. So thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. Yes, so this discussion came up as I was thinking about my own journey in a toxic job, discovering the garden created by Alecia Renece, the artist, and all the incredible women I came across who were recovering our creative gifts after trauma and harm. So I want to ask, what led you to this work of helping Black women like recover our creativity? Yeah, anything that you want to share around that, because it's so important.
Sure. So first of all, thank you for coming. That was like the first iteration of the garden, and I got there because I was that person. So as a child, I always knew that I wanted to sing. I always knew I wanted to write, and I always knew I wanted to make books, right? But as I got older, and when you're younger, adults kind of like, yeah, you're good, like you could do anything, the sky's the limit. And the older you get, the more you matriculate through schooling, right? The less, like, the ceiling becomes closer and closer and closer, right? The hope starts to kind of enclose around you. And it was very clear to me, like, whether it was said outrightly, like explicitly, or if it was implied, creatives don't make money, artists don't make money, so therefore you have to do the responsible thing, i.e. get a real job. I'm sure that's something creatives and artists have heard before. Entrepreneurs, a real job. What does that even mean? Get a real job, and then maybe if you have the energy, the capacity, the time afterwards, then maybe you can pursue your little hobby of creating art. So I went into the workforce, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, got beat down in college, got beat down on my job, and I left with, like, I would say, like, broken wings. You know what I mean? Like, I think I went into school kind of open and like anything could happen, anything is possible. But I think by the time I graduated, and it took me 9 years to graduate, because of racist teachers, because of bad programming, and because of depression. And I left there broken. I really left feeling like, wow, my fun time in life is over. It's time for me to be an adult. And by adult, I thought that meant suffering through a job to be respectable to other people. And then maybe if I'm one of the lucky ones, maybe then I can, teach art on the side, which also is dope. But like, I couldn't actually be an artist. Like, I had to have some sort of viable, I keep putting air quotes because this is language that we use, right?
Right.
But like, who determines what is viable, right? So that's why I keep air quoting. I had to find a viable way to make money. So I studied American Sign Language because I figured I could be an interpreter, a freelance interpreter, and I can make art on the side. It provided enough flexibility. But schooling broke me down. My teacher destroyed my confidence. And so I had to figure out a different plan. Graduated, got a job at a hospital, and my spine was not with it. Whatever I thought that I could manage and stomach, my body was showing me that I could not. That my body, it almost felt like my body was reminding me, and this is like coming to me in this moment. It's like my body was telling me we did not manifest for this. Like, I didn't agree to go along with you in life for this. Like, to be sitting at a job you hate. No, I wanted to create. Like, when I'm creating, I'm the healthiest I am. I'm the happiest that I am. And at this job, I was stressed out. The management was awful. I was teaching the manager how to do her job. That's a whole other conversation. And so I was very stressed out at this job and berated and talked down to and treated like I was stupid. And, you know, I got married and I said, I don't want to do this anymore. I can't, like, I've been working since I'm 16. I had 3 jobs at 16. I cannot do this anymore. Like, I am tired. And so privilege, I appreciate it. My husband gave me the opportunity to pursue my creative career. It is completely different than what I thought it was at the beginning of it, but I'm grateful for it. So I learned or relearned that dreams are valid, that there are ways that you can pursue your dreams that don't cost you, shout out to Marissa, that don't cost you your well-being. There are ways to be creative that honor who you are as a person first, right? Centers yourself without having to please other people first. And you can create your own life. And I also don't want to say that this is not just for artists. This is for anybody. This is like, you are a creative being. You can create your own life. So I'm very passionate about that. Very passionate about Black women, very passionate about creativity, very passionate about the imagination, because that's something that and I'm sure we'll talk about that. That's something that these corporations attack first, your imagination, because once they have your imagination, they have you. Once you cannot imagine a way out or a different way through, you are their tool. They want to shape and form you into a cog for their system. And so once they do that, that's when they please you. That's when they celebrate you. Oh my God, you're doing such an amazing job. Da, da, da. But there's still more stuff, right? But you know inside, this is not the shape that I wanted to take form. Like this is not who I am, you know? So yay. That's why I wanted to get into the work.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah.
Thanks for asking.
And as I was just thinking about this conversation, I'm like, the trauma, the harm, the bullying in the toxic job I was in started when I started expressing my creativity. And I was able to link that together. I'm like, because my creativity, as I've like let it kind of unfold, it sparks this weird reaction in people so often throughout my life. And having to realize like it's a gift, right? And within a colonial system that wants us in boxes, shout out to Lavendula, right? That wants us constantly in these boxes where they can control us, that is a threat. And so like being able to connect those dots, that our creativity is literally like causing these reactions in people because they can't control us so often. Right.
Yeah.
So I just want to say that.
I literally wrote down, I was like, they don't want you to be creative. They want you to be controlled. They want you to be easily manipulated. Like creativity is a threat to their system. So of course they're going to punch down on artists. Of course they're going to punch down on creatives or people who think differently or can find an easier way through that doesn't require all this extra stuff that people like because it strokes their ego. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because people like because it makes them look powerful. So yeah, like they want you to be able to be easily controlled. And one thing I've struggled, I'm a recovering people pleaser too. And it's so interesting because when you tell people no, the violent reaction that some people get, right? Like,
True.
Like,
yes. Like, how dare you betray me? Don't you know you're supposed to always be a doormat for me? Don't you know you're always supposed to be, right? Like, so yeah, it's all connected.
you know what is interesting is to hear you both talk about the ability to express your creativity on the job or even dreaming. And it's like, wow, I didn't have those experiences. When you talk, Alecia, about, art, like artists and creatives don't make money, so you have to get a real job. There was no space for my creativity growing up. Like I was taught, look, you fit into this box, and I was always different. Always. I never felt like I belonged anywhere until I realized like where I am is where I'm supposed to be, if that makes sense. Like, you know how they say like, oh, the cool kids crowd or like the popular kids, like those things don't exist. And so as an adult, really moving away, moving to Mexico, leaving the States is what like sparked my ability to even learn to dream again, because I didn't have the ability to dream. Like that was not something that my brain could do. Learning to dream again, learning what that looks like for me. But it's just, as I'm sitting, I'm like, wow, Marissa's saying, express my creativity on the job. And I'm like, what? Like, even though I say that, but our creativity in these corporate environments, at least for me, I'll speak for myself, came out not in a artistic form, but in the like where you got to get creative. There's only so many hours in the day, and I have more work than I do than I have. Like things that I realize, like I have a like I'm closing my eyes because I'm trying to think of how I can explain it. Like my brain works in symbols. It has like its own good morning. It has like its own kind of shorthand, and my brain naturally recognizes patterns. And
Mm-hmm.
like I can hear things, I guess, in colors. Like that probably sounds weird, but I hear things and like symbols and so the way that I'm naturally wired helped me to be able to do all of these things, to get creative, to find these creative solutions on the job. But only, in the like I'm almost 50. And so the past like 2 or so years was when I picked up these things, but recognizing that these things were present because they were trying to get out. Like I was the one who wanted to wear underoos, like my R2D2 underoo with a tutu, some galoshes, and I don't know, like a construction hat from my dad. Like, like, but that is like, why? No, don't do that. Take that off. You're not going with me looking like that. Like just ways that I learned very early that expressing, as you mentioned, on the job. Uh, but I learned that early. I learned it early in life at home. And to have sisters who, no offense to them, but they're not creative. They're
Mm-hmm.
conformist, and that's okay. Everyone has their place. But I like just hearing you all talk about that is like, wow, yeah, these are realizations that I didn't get until much, much later in life. Yeah. So
Also just want to, as an aside, I feel you on the like hearing in color, like seeing, like there when I see things I can feel it, like I so there okay, there's this thing called like synesthesia.
yes,
Whatever,
yes,
rabbit
yes,
hole. Okay, some people can
yeah,
hear in color, some people
yeah.
can see. Yes, thank you, Clarenzini.
I'm
Hi.
a zany.
I
Yes.
have that. Yeah,
Yeah, same, so do
yeah,
I. Like that, like I literally, when I look at something, I can hear it. I don't know how to explain that. Like when I
yeah.
see something, I can hear it. So
I
yeah,
got you.
so and so we wait until these things are like have a name, right, for them to be acceptable. Like, and it's just like, but there are people who live like this every day, like without the language, without the permission even to be like, oh
Yeah,
no, what I have, I love that, I taste and shape sounds so cool. But I think it's beautiful because we all have gifts, like we were all born with gifts, and because it seems weird or unnatural or not normal, it gets shut down. It gets
yeah,
told that's silly, that's stupid. But really, even the people that think that, they need it. Like people need what you're bringing, but they just may not have the, not, I want to say the taste, because I don't want to be like they're tasteless, but they may not have the palate. They may not have the
yeah.
palate to be able to appreciate it. So yeah,
You're
I
not
feel
their
that.
cup of tea. Yeah, and you
Yeah.
know what? As you're as you're saying that, I'm thinking of like I'm naturally good at many things. Like
Mm-hmm.
just because of the way my brain works, and it can like reverse engineer it. It can like off rip. I see it, and my brain automatically starts breaking things down. But like I started making custom hats. I dance, like I can, like I've always been a good dancer, but I started doing Latin dance, really reconnecting with a lot of the like Afro-Cuban, Afro-Panamanian, Afro-Puerto Rican, Afro-Dominican, Afro-Colombian. I'm going to be in Colombia in for the entire month of August, studying. But it's just like that. Macrame. I was a savant at macrame. I keep these wipes. I call them my more emotional support wipes. It's a joke, but it's kind of serious. But I have wipes because I like to be, like I want to clean my hands, things like that when I'm out. I keep them in my purse or my fanny pack. And I automatically I knot them. As they dry, I knot. And it's just something I love to knot things, and I love to take knots out. Like it gets me so excited. Like, because again, I can see my brain works like this is nothing. We can take all these knots out. So that's what macrame is. It's knotting. And because my brain naturally, it almost sees in grids. Like when I take photographs, like I was always a very good photographer because my brain says, put it in this middle quadrant, things that I'm learning that is in painting. I said, now I'm horrible at like any type of photorealism or anything like that. But also I haven't tried it. So maybe I need to add it to my list. But as far as like painting, and I used to get so frustrated, like even coloring, because I like to color. And I could not stay within the lines. And I remember because my mom would color with us. I'm like, how does she do that? My sisters all could stay within the lines. But for me, it's like I don't want to stay within the lines, and I don't want to use these colors. Like I want to use different colors, and I want to add to it. And so I started painting as well. I guess I'm technically a professional background singer. I sang it.
Really, you do so many things.
Yeah, I know. Listen,
like,
and this was really within the past, like the past, less than 2 years. I was a professional background singer. I also went back into the studio, doing background vocals in the studio. Goodness, whole bunch of things. Like I said, making custom hats. In the process, like a 5-6 hour process, but I love that. And just seeing, like I have to sit, they know, let me do my process. I have to allow first of all, the color has to speak to me.
Mm-hmm.
The name, I come up with names, but it's because the names speak to me. Like it tells me what its name is, which probably to some people sounds weird, but it's like it almost floats up. Like that's the color I'm going to choose. It just kind of sticks out more than the other ones. And yeah, just making these hats. And I always cry when I'm done because it's like I'm seeing it for the first time. Mm-hmm. Like, even though I sat here and did this, when I put it on my head and look in the mirror, it's like I'm seeing it too. And I'm like, I made that. Because it comes from a place that's not it's not like a conscious place. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure you both understand what I'm saying. It's not like it's intentional, but it's like a different part of me is the one that's doing it. So like I said, when I see these things, I'm seeing it for the first time along with everyone else. And that doesn't mean I don't struggle. Like I'm working on some improvisation for a dance for one of the deities in the Afro-Cuban, Nigerian, Yoruba-based like dances. But oh my goodness, I'm struggling with that because it requires me to be vulnerable. And like to show what's inside to come out and be visible for everyone to see. That makes me uncomfortable. I'm working towards it, but it makes me uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And once you make it feels like I'm not in my body. Sometimes like it comes from a source that I can't really like identify. It's like a higher source.
Yeah.
To be able to like funnel, because I do that a lot with digital marketing. Like I'll have an idea, like a vision, and then it'll speak to me. Like this is the image. This is what it should look like. And then to like see it being created, sometimes I don't even realize that I created it. I'm like, oh, that's really cool. And then I'll be like, oh, that actually flowed through me to like come out to life, right? To earth. It's incredible.
It's magical. It feels so magical.
Yeah, it is. Yes.
If I did want to say, if I could say something, okay. In response to what you said, Apryl, I was writing down just things that stood out to me. But when you were saying for creating like that vulnerability, that fear, I think a lot of us feel that fear because it's like we want to be understood and we want to connect with people and we want people to get it, and we also don't want to be made fun of. Like we also don't want to be like. A lot of this is like social programming. A lot of the fear that we have, like I know that we say that fear is like, what do people say? Like fear is evidence appearing real or something like that. Like, you know, as an acronym. Yeah. But a lot of us have fear because of stuff that has actually happened and stuff that we have actually seen people go through for being creative. And so even when you're talking about like coloring in the lines, a lot of people don't even know that you're allowed to not color outside the lines. A lot of people have no idea. that you can literally go outside the lines and nothing's going to harm you. No one's going to point and be like, you're doing it wrong. But a lot of people, because they feel like they're doing it wrong, stick to the lines. And some people conform because it's safety. And shout out to my therapist. That really came from like a session with her. Like, a lot of people choose conformity because of safety, because it's almost like there's safety in numbers, and it's almost like, in a way, you disappear. Like, when you conform, you don't have to stand out. You don't have to bear the burden of being seen, right? Like, you're being accepted. Like, people might see you, and I'm not saying that people who conform don't, see you, but what I am saying is that it is, I'm going to say, easier in a different way. It is easier in a different way to just kind of go along with the programming and follow the lines, because this is what was given to us, right? Like, when you're coloring a piece of paper, this is the outline. You're not necessarily bringing the image from your head to the paper. They're telling you, like, this is what we want you to color. You can change the colors, but don't draw outside the line. And that's something we learn in preschool. Like, you're supposed to follow the line. So, like, from 3 or 4, depending on, when you get to preschool, 3 or 4, and now you're like 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. Oh, I didn't even, like, it's so subtle. The indoctrination is so subtle. Like, I didn't even realize I could color outside the line and create something completely different. Yeah. So, but that's all I wanted to say. But yeah,
there are no lines. But you know what? I think, I know for me, like, as you were saying that, and you mentioned things that we are told, like, so it is not, something that we're imagining. Like, my mom would say, look at mine, look at your sisters, and look at yours. And so it would be like, look, little kids do.
Yeah.
Like, but I like mine. I like it, and I like yours too, but I like mine. And so again, that's why I struggled so much within the lines, to stay within the lines, because my brain was like, like, no, we don't want to do that. Like, how I said, we want to use these colors. But one of the things that I have realized is that there are no lines. Like, I was told there's lines. Then I learned that there's things outside the lines. And then it's like, you kind of look back and you realize there are no lines. And that's something that it is exciting. It's also, as you mentioned, there's true fear in that. And especially as someone, there were 4 daughters, and I was constantly being compared to my sisters because I was so different. And even teachers would say, because they would typically have all of us, well, your sisters weren't like this. They didn't do that. Or why can't you just be like your sisters? And I'm like, I don't know.
Can we talk about teachers though?
Yeah.
Teachers and creativity. Because that's one of the things that I experienced too. Like, when I did express my creativity, I can remember back in middle school, like, my teachers even having a visceral reaction, like, no, this is how you have to do it. And it like trains us that there's something wrong when we do like color outside the lines. Right. So anything that y'all want to share about that? Like, Alecia, I know that you mentioned like the experience you had with this racist teacher. Right.
Yes. Yes. And real quick, I'm thinking about the line from Mean Girls. The limit does not exist, right? Like, when she's at the mathlete competition, the limit does not exist. Like, it's literally like you have a moment like, oh, I'm not an NPC. I can do whatever I want as long as I don't harm nobody. I could do whatever I want in this life, right? Like, and it's fine. And I think, to your point, school does a good job of kind of beating that out of you. Like, no, you cannot do things like this. I had, specifically in college, I had this professor in algebra. Mind you, I was a good mathematician, and I know that I'm still healing from trauma, from the academic space. In high school, I was making, shout out to me, straight A's. Okay, was doing a lot, doing too much, but I knew what I was talking about. Like, I was in trig, like, I knew what I was talking about, and I loved trig. And then I went to college because I found out my school's racist, and because I came from the county I came from, they didn't necessarily take the credit seriously. This is stuff that I found out like after the fact, right? So anyway, so I had to retake algebra, and I was in the algebra 2 class, and I've been here before. I've done these equations already. I already know the formulas, blah, blah, blah. And I got the answer that was necessary, but I got points docked off because I didn't go the way that they told me to go. I didn't do the process. I didn't do the math problem exactly how they told me to do it. So I was punished. even though I got the same outcome, right? Because in my mind, I was taught in high school that, and I don't know if this is like a common theme, but like, you know, how your high schoolers, like, we're going to prepare you for college. In
Yeah.
college, no one's going to hold your hand and no one's going to, you know, you're going to have to
Yeah.
be an adult and do things on your own. I was already very used to being hyper independent. That's a whole other conversation. So I was fine with it. Like, okay, cool. But now you're telling me that I am wrong for figuring problems out. I'm wrong for being innovative. I'm wrong for being creative. Because even when we talk about creativity, it's not just art. It's also a new way to solve something, an easier way, right? Like a way that doesn't require so much drama, for lack of better words. And so I did that. And my teacher just literally, her first inclination was to distrust me. Like somehow I had cheated, even though I'm in the class with you doing the problem. But I had cheated because this was a way that she didn't even see for herself to solve the problem. So sorry, I get so irritated talking about these stories because I realize how detrimental they were to me.
Yeah.
Because the way that my brain worked was not celebrated at my college. It was very much looked down on. And so I think that teachers, because of their own traumas, their own rigidity, like, and we're talking about math and sciences where it's a pretty rigid, sadly, a kind of rigid area. And so these professors were just doing what they were trained to do. I don't even know if they were necessarily aware that they were harming students. But it was harmful. It was really harmful to be embarrassed in front of the class like that. So now you have public shame. So I'm less likely to try something else. So I'm not just being berated by my teacher. My classmates now know. Or even in school when we had to switch papers, I hated that. I don't. Why are we embarrassing each other like that? I hate that. I am
Or
not the
reading
teacher.
out loud.
Yes. So like these things, even though I see the benefit to it, it is also very embarrassing. It's also very, it's like a spotlight on you. Are you, you know, and a lot of kids, a lot of adults don't do well with that. And so, so I think with schooling specifically, my creativity was crushed, not just in the sense of like, oh, you must do the math and science, what was it, reading, arithmetic, whatever.
Yeah.
Like you must do this, reading, writing, and arithmetic. You must do this, like this is what's important. Art is for extra. Not just that, but also when you're doing these things, you can't be creative. I just need you to regurgitate what I'm telling you. That's essentially what I learned school was. Like, let me just be a good follower. Let me just repeat back what you want to hear. It's good in performance, right? But it's good in because I'm a people pleaser and I'm recovering from it. I'm really good at I can give you what you want. It doesn't mean I'm learning anything. It doesn't mean that I'm changing. It doesn't mean that you're actually doing a good job. It just means that because I'm afraid of retaliation, I'm just going to do what you tell me to do. And that doesn't make a good learning environment for anyone. No one learns well under fear or embarrassment or shame. Nobody learns well. People learn well when they feel safe, when they feel seen, right? When they feel protected. And so I feel like a lot of schooling is just really to shake the tree, so to speak, and get people out of here. Like, it's not about, oh, let me try to make a great human being that can contribute back. It's like, exactly, Glamazina. It trains us to be workers. How obedient can you be? How can you follow the schedule? How can you follow the formula? And if you do it well, then I'll give you a little degree. I'll give you a little your A. You know what I'm saying? Whatever you're looking for. Yeah.
But you know, learning, like to truly learn something, you have to ask questions. And we're not like questions. No. And you know, it's two things. One is when you're talking about math, I remember that getting into it. And I was a single mom. I was a teen mom. I was a single mom. And I remember, and my son and I were talking about this recently, but so there's three things. Being asked like this question, so the teacher is lying. And on the inside, you're like, yeah, well, I know that what they're saying is not true, but I'm not allowed to say that the teacher is lying. The teacher is being believed over me. And then another thing was my son in whatever it was, like, very similar to you, came into a different school where he went to a school for all like talented and gifted children. Some had, I think this is an antiquated term, but like Asperger's, high functioning. Some were just like my son, did his own thing. But I remember that if you want to go in the hall and take and do your work, you can. If you need to have your like something tactile, you can do it. And so moving from that all through, it was an elementary into middle school. So going into high school in a completely different state, my son's in his geometry class, and he was getting the correct answers, but he wasn't showing work. So he's getting points off for showing work. And the teacher, he's like, I don't know, like I don't know how to show my work. It's in here. Like I just know the answer. But and I like went to bat for that. My son was naturally, he got that from me. He was a lot like me. And so I did my best, even though I did try to have him conform as a single mom. I'm in school, I'm doing this, and people calling me at work saying Johnson's asking too many questions. He's being disrupted. Well, how is he being disrupted? Well, he's raising his hand, you're calling on him, and then because you're skipping pages in the book and you're making up stuff, and he's saying in kindergarten, like, that's not what but you skipped this, and it says on this page, A, B, C, D, E. And then the third thing is, I remember taking the standardized test. This was probably like second or third grade. And I had to go to the Board of Education to retake it in front of people because they didn't understand how I got everything right. But it was so easy. That's how I got everything right. But and this also has racial implications, because my older sister and I integrated a school system in 1986. So this is not like that long ago, and we're integrating a school system. So when I had to take, that's why I said it was probably second grade, because I think we had to do second, fourth, and sixth. But when I was taking the standardized test, we had to go down to the Board of Education. My mom had to take off work and go to the Board of Education for them to have me take the test in front of them just to still get everything right. And as a matter of fact, because my brain retains, let's just say I got 5 wrong, I got all of those right because I remembered what the actual, I'm like, oh, this answer is the correct answer. Like, yes. Just teachers, they have, they're people too. I taught at a high school for 4 years. I taught at college for 2-3 years. And teachers are people too. And teachers are underpaid, and they're overworked, and these kids be getting on their nerves, like they're people. Like the teacher's lounge is not some magical, rainbow bright My Little Pony. Like that's how I envisioned it. Like it glowed. Like the teacher's lounge glowed to me, like seriously. And I know it was because it was so much happening and there were so many people, but it was like lights came from the seams in the doorway. But they're people too. So that question, so you're saying that the teacher is lying? Oh my God.
And why would you put a child in that position in the first place? Like, that it's, and especially like in the Black community, I wasn't even allowed to say lie. I wasn't even allowed to say lie. I had to say fib or telling a story. Yeah. Like, don't do that. It's because if I say yes, I'm going to be punished. Like, you're putting me in an impossible position. And you're also teaching me that authority is right 100% of the time, no matter what. You're also teaching me that I don't have a voice. You're teaching me I can't stand up for myself, right? Like, and so yes, like I love teachers. I love teachers down. I love the good ones. Cause I've also had amazing teachers in my life that I, to this day, when I see them at the gas station or the grocery store, I'm like, oh my God, it's, but like there's, unfortunately, because of, so I grew up in PG County. It's a Black county. And so like everyone there wanted us to be, everybody wanted us to thrive and to do well. Like for the most part, most of the teachers I had wanted us to do well. But I really feel like in some ways, and it's not their fault, they didn't know what to prepare us for, really. Like, and so they were just doing the best that they could with what they had. And what I had was great. It's just that, oh, you're Black. Oh, you're from a Black area in Maryland. So we're going to discount. You know what I'm saying? Like, so all of that was at play. And it breaks my heart because there are so many brilliant students, brilliant people, period. Maybe school is not right for them. I'm going to say, and I know I'm gonna get whatever, sorry, I'm not anti-intellectual. I also think that phrase is also, it can be a form of classism, but that's another conversation for another day. But I think that school is not good for everybody. And if we understand that, then we can also understand that even in school, the way that we're teaching people things is not good for everybody. Like everybody don't learn the same way. Everybody is not, what I find important, other people might not find important, right? Like, and so I think unfortunately, like you're saying, with the teachers being under-resourced, under-supported, and their creativity also being suppressed, right?
Yeah.
Like, I remember being in school when the No Child Left Behind thing started off. I graduated high school in '08. And so from '06 to '08, there was like practice testing. And I remember the frustrations of the teachers. And I remember they're saying to us, like, this is ruining education. The teachers, knew like this is ruining education, and they're just teaching us to pass a test, not teaching us to think critically, not teaching us to even we're retaining information for the sake of test taking, not for the sake of actual like improvement. And so you wonder why you have a whole generation of people who can't think critically. I don't wonder that. That's by design. Like, I really feel like the teachers were saying, I really feel like this is by design. It's an attack on your imagination, your creativity, including the teachers, the professors. Now they have to teach this specific curriculum, but that's not even what they went into school for. They didn't go to school to do this. They went into school they had their own reason, right? I want to teach people how to read because I'm a writer and da-da-da. Like, I wanted to be a teacher to teach creative writing specifically. And once I learned that I could not do that, I didn't want to be a teacher anymore. So I also feel like there are teachers who won't even enter the system because they're not committed to empire. I don't know how else to say that. They're not committed to empire. So yeah.
That's when I started teaching that No Child Left Behind program. I think that was Baby Bush. And they were emergency like certing people. If you had a degree, they would allow you to, become a teacher. Then and I stopped that term, teach to test. That's what it was called. I learned that from other teachers. And so, yeah, I only did it for 4 years. I'm like, I gotta go. I had zero intentions of being a teacher. I did it because it was in the same school district as my son. So when we would be off for intercessions, when we would be off for breaks, my son would be off as well. And it was great money. And here I am, a college student and a single mom. But yeah. Hey, Marissa, go ahead and jump in because we've been over here. Boop, boop, boop.
Oh, I was going to ask to the topic, talking about school, because that's the pipeline often when we get into these toxic jobs. What harvesting creativity means to you, because often when we are in these toxic jobs, we don't have space, time to be able to contribute to our creative gifts. And so we kind of like turn them off and it makes us sick so often. So anything that you want to share around how these toxic jobs like drain us of our creativity, use it for their purposes so often, and then we're left with depleted, right? With nothing for ourselves. Anything that y'all want to share around that?
Sure. Harvesting, when I was thinking about that, the thought of harvesting creativity, you are also harvesting well, not you. I mean, you as the general you, like the jobs are harvesting people's lives. Like we have to remember, and I have to do this for myself. The foundations of this country are genocide, forcing themselves on women, land theft, and violence, right? And enslavement, which is violence. And our work system, our schooling system is set up to reflect that. It is set up to reflect how much can I load you with, right, in this short amount of time? How much can I make you suffer for this? This is me dangling an A in front of somebody for an A. And that A turns into a paycheck, right? And that A turns into social status or acceptance. This A turns into whatever, right? So it starts small. And then you have containers of children, right? Like you're around children, you're living your life to try to please them and things like that. And these children grow up to be your peers, their coworkers, right? So these same people that have been on the same track, these jobs harvest life, years off of your life. And the more when I say this, people think that it's dramatic. It's not dramatic. They are using you. They are siphoning your life to sustain their business. If you were to pass away, I had a friend, unfortunately, his mother passed away at her job. And I'm sure they had her job posted the next day. Passed away at her desk. And so like people, and it breaks my heart because people spend 40, 50, 60 plus years going to their job 5 out of 7 days a week. Maybe taking a vacation if you have vacation days, because every job don't even have that. Maybe taking vacation 2 weeks. What is the math on that? Like how much of that is your actual life, right? And then don't even think about the weekends, because the weekends are for everything you couldn't do during the week. So you're still working. You're never resting, and you're never actually being a human being. And so like beyond the years of your life, they're taking your life, like your life's work, your joy, your free time, free mental space in your brain. And because you are so burdened by your job, you think, oh, when I get home, I'll work on this, right? Okay. I'm sorry, I have a lot of thoughts coming at the same time. When you get home, you're thinking, oh, I'm going to work on this. Then you feel guilty because you don't have the energy to work on this, but it's not your fault that you don't have the energy because your energy was siphoned all day. So now you're beating yourself up about the things that you want to do, but you can't do because you don't have the time, resources, days off, whatever, days accrued or acquired. Like humans don't get sick. When I was at my last hospital job, I had to literally earn my sick days. That doesn't make any sense to me because I'm a human being. I am prone to getting sick. Like I'm going to get sick, right? Like that's just, it's inevitable. Whether I cramp really bad because I'm on my period, whether I am, I have a blown tire or something. These jobs don't account for life. And so then you take those, when you think about it, you're spending 40 days a week, 40 hours a week, 40 days a week. It's so funny.
Seems like it.
Right? For real.
It feels like
That's hilarious. But yes, you're spending 40 hours a week being indoctrinated, being beaten up, and then also being underpaid, which reflects to you that you have no worth or value. Like which reflects to you that you're undeserving or unworthy of being supported. So like these jobs, yeah, it is very predatory, right? Like these jobs seek whom they may devour. I know, like whatever, but like that's literally what they want to do. They want to consume you. They want to consume your life. They want you to actually sit and think, my kid is sick. Should I stay home and take care of them and think about losing a day and losing a day of pay? Or should I actually stay home and take care of my child? That shouldn't even be a question, right? But these jobs have you actually considering that like it's a valid question. And I get it, right? Because these jobs are also abusive. And even financially abusive, these jobs are financially abusing you. They're not doing you no favor, honey. They're not doing, like, they hired you because you are a benefit to their company. Right? But they got you thinking, oh, this job is blessing me. No, it's not. It's taking your time, your life, your resources, and they're underpaying you and telling you to be good, to be grateful for it. And maybe next quarter, we'll talk about giving you a 25-cent raise. Maybe. Like that's, you see what I'm saying? So like, I think beyond harvesting creativity, which we can think of all the ways, right? Like stealing ideas at the workplace without getting credit. You know what I'm saying? Being punished for actually creating good things for your coworkers, a better system, right? Because you were the one that came up with it, not your boss, right? Because their ego's in the way. Stuff like that, like silly things like that. And then also you are spending your creative waking energy solving the problems of an employer that hates you, but never actually able to use that creativity for yourself. So there are different ways that they exploit for better life. Honestly, that's what it is. There are other ways that they exploit you, but like I really think we give these jobs too much, and also we don't remember like 2 days off of a week is not a that's not a, what is the word I'm looking for? That's not a benefit, and it's also not generous. That's not a generous give. It's how far can I push? Just like capitalism is, how little can I pay this person to do as much work for me as possible, right? In the same way, how far can I push the human body before it destructs so that I can get labor out of them? How far can I push the mind? How much time can I take of your life? If I call you when you're off of work, are you going to answer me, right? Like financial abuse is the same way. I'm going to give you just enough to survive, but you're going to have to keep coming back to me to live. Does it like, you're not going to quit me because I'm the only one giving you money, even though I could pay you more. But if I paid you more, then you would have options. So I'm not going to do that because I want to keep you to myself. So I really feel like these jobs are slave masters, and we are chained in different ways, obviously. Like technically they have to pay us, but not really. They pay us pennies because they can. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. I feel like I was all over the place.
No,
it does. Thank you.
Yeah.
And to think about, I think you said before, like all of this came out of someone's imagination. Like, and that's so like jarring, but it's true. None of these things are actually real. A 40-hour work week came out of a white man's imagination, right? All these different things that we're told are just how they are. These are things that someone created, right? And reinforced through violence and control. And so we feel like we just have to accept it because there is punishment so often on the other side. And I think it's important to name that and like interrogate these things that we're just told are just how they are. And we just have to accept them. Like there was a time before this, first of all, this is relatively recent, in the span of human history, like the things that we're experiencing under a colonial system, to like push back against these things, right? And to see that they did come out of someone's imagination. And this is often what they spend their time doing, is making life more difficult, right? In different ways to harm us and the planet. So all of these things are connected.
Yes. And if I could, to what you just said about that, could just made me think of something. When you said it came out of their imagination, but they will tell you that you trying to improve the lives of other people is unrealistic. Listen to who is telling you what is unrealistic and why. Well, I hate, and I'm going to say, I hate when people say, well, that's just the way it is, right? Because that communicates a few things. Either you're apathetic and you don't care, which means you're dangerous. You got to stay away from me. Or like, secondly, your creativity and imagination has been so beaten down that you literally cannot see a different or imagine a different way of being. And that is also dangerous. That makes you vulnerable. If like, I need people to also understand, when you complain, that is an opportunity for creativity and innovation. A complaint is an invitation, right? And you can do this. I say this with other artists who are looking at other artists and critiquing their work, like, oh, why she do that? Why she do that? Okay, cool. You didn't like it, so create something else you like. Create what you like. Like if there's something that this person missed, okay, talk about that thing, right? And I take that in even in the workplace. Unfortunately, it's not always welcome, so proceed with caution. But when you have a suggestion, when you see a complaint or a problem, your inclination, because you are a creative being, is to solve it, right? Yeah. Your thought is, oh, even when you're driving down the road and you hit a pothole, dang, I wish they stopped tearing up the streets like this, right? In your mind, I'm sure you can craft up a million different ways to make this easier, like, because it's not working. The traffic cones are not working. The material they're using is not working, because every year y'all cutting up the streets. I don't understand. There has to be a different way. But they want us to believe that there is no way out, because us believing there is no way out lines their pockets. If we believe, even from a consumer perspective, if we believe that there are no, I don't know, solves for plastic bottles, right? Oh, well, that's just the way it is. We're going to keep polluting the ocean. Plastic oil is going to lose money. All of this is tied to money, right? And so if we do the right thing, if we solve the right thing, people's pockets are going to hurt. And unfortunately, people value money over people here. So when you're trying to offer a solution, it's not that it's not viable or it's not realistic. When you're trying to dream, it's that people have their interests in other things, i.e. controlling you. And so when you start to, again, think of a cog in a wheel, right? When you're a cog in a wheel and that cog gets bent out of shape, what happens? Yeah. Right? Yeah. Something falls apart, it jostles. You are that cog. When you wake up to like, oh wait, hold on, what the heck? I'm sentient. I don't got to do this. You start to destroy their system, right? Their system starts to shake and rattle, and they have to come address the problem. And the problem is you, right, becoming yourself. The problem is you becoming human. And so what they do is they try to fashion you, like beat you back into submission using, society, money, whatever, abusing you back into submission to make their system run smoothly. I like being called difficult. Especially to systems that are destructive and that bring death bringing. You know what I'm saying? Like I find I wear that as a badge of honor. Oh, thank God. Okay. Thank God I don't look like this. Thank God that I am an enemy to your system, because I do want your system to fail. In all honesty, I'm not gonna lie. Like I do. Like I think if your system requires the abuse of other people, it doesn't exist. It doesn't deserve to exist. If your system requires destruction, death, sickness, illness, whatever, you're not a good business person. You're just a person who benefits off of the exploitation and the destruction of other people, right? And so when I really put things into view like that, that helps my vision. That helps my confidence. That's what I'm looking for. That helps my confidence, because I know what I'm here for. I'm here to disrupt the system. I'm not here to be a cog in the system. I'm here to disrupt it and remind people of what is real and what is realistic, because this is not realistic. Capitalism is not realistic. It's failing. We're literally over mining. I forget what time of year that was last year, but we basically, before the year ended, took too many resources out of the earth for the year. But this is realistic. Greed is realistic. It's not. So I think really addressing and interrogating, sorry, I'm getting really passionate, but I think interrogating why you believe things are unrealistic, why someone is telling you something is unrealistic, why it's not viable or beneficial to them. does this person benefit from my destruction? Does this person benefit from my being quiet, right? And if that's the case, then that's not the person you need to be listened to anyway, even if it is your boss. There was times at my job, and again, I'm not telling everybody to do it, but I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, I just, once you show me that you're an uncaring person, working at a hospital, the focus should be the patients. No one is here for fun. Everyone here is here because they have to be, because they are ill, depressed, and because they're not well. They're here because they're not well, or they need to check up on something else, right? Okay, cool. So now that I know the focus of my job is people, I don't care about your profits. I don't care. I'm a bad employee for those reasons. I'm bad because I don't value money over people. And that means that's a question, honestly, a lot of people should be asked before they come in, because then it'll save me all the heartbreak and heartache when I'm actually trying to serve the people I thought we were here to serve. Mm-hmm. I thought we were serving patients, but you're actually serving the C-suite.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Profits.
Yeah. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say. I'm sorry.
Please
don't apologize. No, that's so real. Yeah. And to your point, like they steal our ideas. So when we have a creative idea and we share it in these workplaces so often, they steal it, or someone gets triggered by it because they didn't come up with it. Right. And so that like teaches us that sharing, or like pouring energy into our creativity and sharing it out into the world, is dangerous, because there's punishment attached to it so often. Right. So just to name that's important. But yeah, I want to ask you, if someone feels like they've lost their creativity, which we often hear, being in toxic jobs, anything that you want to share to help them understand what's actually happening and how they can recover those creative gifts?
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things to talk about. You are a creative being, period. Let's just pause. You are creative, period. I don't care that you're not an artist. I don't care that you can't paint. I don't care that you can't sing or sew or whatever it is, because that's the first thing. Well, I can't. That's indoctrination. Children know they're creative. They're so in the moment that they're not even thinking about I'm being creative. They're just being. By you being a human being, off rip, makes you creative. When you cook, when you problem solve, when your kids are acting up and they won't eat their vegetables and you got to figure out a creative way to get them to eat, right? When you are trying to avoid an argument, right? When you need to have a conversation, you're actively engaged. If you're a good conversationalist, you're reading the energy of the other person, the facial expressions, the body language. All of that is creativity, formulating in your mind what you're going to say in response, right? Like, so I need you are creative. You are creative. The world knows that too. Your job knows that too. And they'll do everything in their power if this job is abusive and, harmful. They will do everything in your power to either exhaust you so you can't be creative, silence you so that your creative ideas aren't taken seriously, right? But all of that is programming to get you to take home, right? To take home, I'll finish the statement first. To take home that you are not creative. And I say take home because I feel like as Black folk, and especially like Black women, we all wear a mask to work. Like there's some form of protection that we all wear. The code switching, the I'm not going to really say what I really want to say. I also gatekeep my Blackness because it's not for y'all. and y'all wouldn't know what to do with it anyway. So I feel like there's this mask that we all wear, but sometimes we forget to take that mask off before we walk in the door. We forget, or not even before you walk in the door. When you walking out that job, like when you get in your car, that's the decompressing, depending on your commute, but the decompression, like that should take place. Like okay, I'm getting back into my body. I'm listening to music. I'm dancing. I'm moving. I'm going at whatever people do on their way home. By the time you get home, the hope is that you have fully come back into your body a little bit, maybe not the whole way, but a little bit. And you're reminding yourself, I am a human being. Therefore I am creative. I am creative. And sometimes people at your job attack you because you are creative. Sometimes people at your school attack you because you are creative. And I would say maybe you're not creative, right? Maybe you have not lost your creativity, but maybe you are exhausted. Maybe you are tired, right? I'm thinking about enslavement and how even when our ancestors were enslaved, they still had to, at the end of the day, have their own crop at the end of the day for themselves. Right? They spent all their energy toiling and working the soil for somebody else to profit, but they had nothing left for themselves. And so even in their exhaustion, they still had to create their own mini crops, right, to feed themselves and their body. Well, here we are under-resourced, under-supported, underpaid. You know what I'm saying? And your rest, your well-being is more important, right, than you creating something. It is. I know. But your rest is, we'll get there in a second, but your rest is more important. You being alive is more important than you creating something for the approval of other people. I would also say that you might just be hopeless, and this is not a judgment. This empire does a great job at destroying our hope for their benefit, because again, if we have no imagination, if we can't see in the future or hope for something different, then they control us because there's nothing to fight for. There's nothing more beyond this. You might be lacking in fun and adventure and play, right? You may just need to play. Like, I think a lot of people think about creativity in terms of like profit. Like, if I'm not creating something that's making me money, or that's giving me social kudos, I don't know. Like, like if I'm not doing that, then it doesn't count. Sometimes creativity is just going out into a flower field and laying in the flowers and looking at the clouds. That counts, right? Like, that is creative. It creates space in your mind. It creates room, a container where you're not being chased down by capitalism, right? It allows you to be a human being. You may just be numb or dull, right? Like bored to tears. And you also might, some signs that you might be disconnected, I feel like, are envy and jealousy. And I'm going to say this not as a judgment, because I feel like there's a lot of discourse lately about envy and jealousy being like, oh, that means you're a bad person and you're evil and you're going to kill your friends. That's not what that means. Like, that's silly. The root of jealousy is often fear. The root of, and I'm not talking about jealousy that you're harming people, because just because you feel jealousy does not mean you need to harm anybody. Jealousy is the feeling of, oh no, am I going to be replaced? Is somebody going to take my spot? Is somebody going to take what I think is good for me? You feel me? Or envy, where it's like, dang, I wish I could do that. I don't have the resources, time, access to do that. Like, and so listen to those things, right? That's your creativity speaking. I want to make something. I want to be something else. I want to do something else, right? And I think even in small ways, painting with your fingers, seriously, like sometimes your body needs to express itself. Shout out to Glamazzini. When she's the one that said depression is, I'm going to butcher this, but I'm going to paraphrase, like, but depression is caused by your inability to express, right? Like, and so you are made to express. You are a human being. Everything else, look outside at a tree. The tree is expressing. The bird is expressing. The grass is expressing, right? Like, all of nature expresses except you. That don't make sense, right? You are nature. You are human. So therefore, you were created to express. So I would say that you didn't lose it. You're just wounded. You're being socialized to be a machine, not an actual human being. And you didn't lose your creativity. You need that to live. If you were not creative, you'd be dead. Flat out, right? So your creativity is yours first. It's not for profit first. It's yours first. It's to keep you alive. It's to, again, help you do the math in your head. How fast is this car coming? Can I cross the street and make it in time? Like that's creativity. That's, you are smart. You are brilliant. It's just that they are almost plugging into that and hijacking that to feed their system so that you have nothing left for yourself. That's what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, that's such an important point. Like, realizing that your creativity is yours and it's not owned by the job, because so many of us are in mission-based, we're in caring positions where we feel like we have to pour all of ourselves, including our creativity, into our jobs. And so to realize, no, that's yours to take, right? After you clock out, right? Please have something left over for yourself that you can pour into you. That job shouldn't get every single part of you. And I think that we're conditioned and socialized that it should, and that it owns, right? There's a sense of ownership over our creativity and what we bring in so often, our skill set too. Yeah.
I agree. And to that, right? Even if you don't have the energy to create, watch a movie, listen to a song. That is you communing with creation. Excuse me. That's you communing with creation. Go for a walk, right? Like, watch a documentary, do something that's interesting or fun. It doesn't have to be, I have to have a product to show at the end of this. No, like, you can just literally sit and passively enjoy creativity. And that also is creating. That's, you might not be able to consciously figure out like, oh, what am I really taking from this movie? Whatever. It's subconscious. Like, it'll come up in like 3 weeks when you're having a conversation. Oh my gosh, yeah, that conversation that I had or that documentary I watched, I can actually apply that information to this. Like everything is connected. So yeah, it's not your fault that you're burned out or being overused. It's the system.
It's a system. Yes. So Alecia will be speaking at the summit coming up this weekend on Saturday. Any teasers that you want to share about your session on reigniting your creativity after harm?
Sure. I'm excited. Thank you all for having me again this year. I'm really excited because
Absolutely.
I love it. I love the work that you all are doing. And it's so funny because even the first year that you all asked me to be a part of it, I was kind of like, we're talking to professional people, but I'm a creative person. Like, how is this really going to work? But really, again, being creative, looking at my own journey, and seeing like, oh, okay, like all things do work together. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever you want to believe from that, but like all things, like all experiences, good and bad, have helped me. In the future, it's almost in the present, it's almost like life gives you tools, for the future. And so I'm just now getting off a sabbatical. So that brings me to the point that I'm making. I'm coming off of a sabbatical. It's still taking me time to come out of it because I'm realizing, again, the work that I was doing, how fast I was doing it, how much I was doing. It was too much for me because I was indoctrinated to believe that I am just like everybody else and should be doing everything like everybody else. And one thing I want to offer to folks is that creativity is limitless. The limit doesn't exist. So that means that literally, like, no matter what you have from your life, there is a way to take a seed from that and to plant something beautiful. There is a way to propagate something, right? From our plant people, if you know, take a leaf, cut a little leaf cutting, put it in water, right? And it starts to grow roots, right? Mm-hmm. So I feel like there's something beautiful and beneficial that you can take from every season of life. And it doesn't mean that you have to stay there it also doesn't mean you have to subject yourself to abuse to get good stuff. No, follow your joy, follow your inclinations, and follow your creativity. But I do want to say this: rest is the most important thing for your creativity. Before you create anything else, like healing from burnout and all that other stuff, like you need to rest. And if I could, can I just mention this is not for me, I researched this, but the seven different types of rest. Okay, thank you. So the first one is physical, right? So physical can be sleeping, napping, but I also think that physical rest is being in environments where your body can melt, where you're not on guard. You know, you take your bra off, so to speak. You know, when you come in the house, like, oh, ooh, okay, cool, right? Like I can breathe now. Like putting yourself in physically safe places. And if your job is not a safe place, I would say please check out the summit. But also, again, check out the people who are here, Marissa and Apryl. Like there are people in this community who already talked about their experiences and how their being in toxic environments, including their jobs, have harmed their physical bodies. I am one of those people. I had to go to rehab. I had to go to a, what do you call those people? Chiropractor. Had to go to a chiropractor because I could not figure out what was wrong with my back. I wasn't doing any strenuous work, but your body is speaking to you. And I feel like a part of physical rest is listening to your body. Your body has the information before your brain can actually like make sense of it, I feel like. And I think putting my body in such a tense position was really wearing on it. It was really wearing on it. The person who did my x-ray basically told me that it looked like I had been jumping up and down, like, and landing really hard. And I sat at my desk for the most part. It's that job. Listen to your body. The second rest I would say is mental rest. So again, things for your brain to do that you don't have to think about, right? Things that are easy. Some people like to crochet. You know what I'm saying? Like just passively watching movies and things like that don't require a lot of emotional, commitment. Things that you can, sit in the background. Listening to music is also good for mental rest. But also again, like, dealing with the thoughts. I also feel like being around the right people impact your mental capacity to rest too. Because if you don't have the right people around you, you will have those people who have indoctrinated you, beating you up in your head, cracking a whip at you. I know that's the image that comes to mind. I'm trying not to be, but it's all slavery. I don't know how not to bring it back to slavery. Right? I was having a conversation recently about the constant presence of white supremacy in our minds. The constant. A white person doesn't have to be in your living room for you to be anti-Black, but also for you to like beat yourself up, right? Because we all do that work for each other, but also for ourselves. Question what you're saying to yourself. Who does this benefit for me to think that way? Okay, sensory rest, real quick. Sensory rest. I need sensory rest a lot. I close my windows after we were just talking about this, like recharging ourselves, spending time with ourselves. For myself, sometimes I will come in my house and I don't care that it's sunny. I'm going to close all the windows and the blinds, turn them off, put on some Twinkie lights, which are just like, the lights around the room, and cuddle up in a cozy little blanket because it's soft. And I might fall asleep, I might not, but I need a rest from that noise, the constant lights, the constant information coming in, social media, like your brain is always on. And also, like, I live in a kind of noisy area, so sometimes I'll go in my closet and shut the door. You need rest for your senses too, Give your brain time to, what they call, like, digest. Give your brain time to just be, and let your brain take you to some creative places. Daydreaming was taught as a child not to do. It's not productive. You're right. It's not productive in the way that you want me to be productive, but it is productive. Daydreaming takes you on journeys. Like we were talking about this earlier, right? Like daydreaming is like, what I liken it to is like reaching into the unseen and pulling something back and making it real. That is magic. Like that is, even if it is like, okay, there are some people who have moved out the country, looking at both of you. That was an idea first, right? That may have started with a daydream, or like, if you're at work, for example, and you're looking out the window or at school and you're like, what am I daydreaming about? Focus on that, because your daydreams have information for you. Your daydreams are for you. Creative rest, doing things without pressure or performance. Again, listening to a song, taking a dance class just because you want to move your body, not because you want to please somebody else, not because you want to perform. Because a lot of our life is performance as Black women, performing for safety, performing for validation, performing, being respectable so that you'll protect me if some harm were to find me, right? Like being the perfect victim, these kinds of things. Black women are always performing. You have to create a nook or a space for yourself for you to be safe enough to just be able to play, to be a kid without, worrying about coloring outside the lines, those kinds of things. Like create a nook for yourself. And I have a couple. One is in the closet. One is over here next to the window with my plants. A place where perfectionism is not required, is not allowed. We're not allowed to be perfect. We're only allowed to play. Okay. Emotional rest. I would say, obviously it says involves having the space to be authentic and share your true feelings. Get around people who get it. Everybody not gonna get it, and it's not. Some of that is not their fault either. We've all been indoctrinated with capitalism, anti-Blackness, misogynoir. We all have things to unlearn. But getting around the right people helps you to not feel crazy. Helps you to not feel like you're alone. Helps you to not feel like, am I wrong for not wanting to be a cog in this machine that keeps killing people and bombing countries and stealing land and am I wrong? No, you're not. You're not. You need to get around people who get it. Social rest, not being around people at all. That's for the introverts. Sometimes you need to not be useful to people. You need not to be called on. You need not to be responsible. I needed that time to not be responsible. I needed to be a human, a kid again, so I could, almost like pruning myself back so I can regrow in the way that is healthy for me. And spiritual rest. Obviously, that depends on the person, what kind of spiritual practices you have. But really like connecting to something greater than yourself, whatever that is. That could be your ancestors. That could be God, your idea of God, your understanding. It could be nature. Nature to me connects me to something greater than myself. As in like the self that is created by empire. Getting in nature almost like, again, roots me. It like nature holds me and reminds me of what's real and what's authentic and honest. And I'm surrounded by creativity. Again, the trees, the birds, the squirrels, the bugs, seeing all the different colors and expressions and how they just move through the world. They might be afraid of like getting eaten, but they're not afraid of expressing themselves. You know what I mean? And I am the bug. I am the tree. I actually am the bird. Like actually, like all this is fake. All this is manufactured. All this is like one creation's idea of what it looks like for there to be a good society. But what about the tree? How do I create a society for them? Things like that. So yeah, so I hope I think that answered your question. Yes. Yay. Okay.
Yes. Thank you. Thank
Can
you.
I ask you this?
Yeah, please.
If there is a Black woman who somehow has stumbled across this, or is even watching, because as you mentioned, we're all over the place, right? For that, we're everywhere. There's people probably like, who is this lady? Who are these women? But what would you say to a Black woman who is considering attending the summit? And it's just like, I don't know if this is for me. I don't know. Like, what would you say to her?
Me, are you asking? Okay.
Yeah, yeah, I'm asking
I
you.
would say, I would say, I would want, one, I think I would ask her, why do you think it's not for you? But then I would also say that, like, no, this is. Like, I promise you, if you're at a job that is harmful, even if you're at a job you can tolerate, but you know that you can experience better, I want to take it back to what Marissa said. Even your making money doesn't have to cost you your well being. If it's costing you your well being, you need to be here. Like, and also creativity, which I also want to talk about at the summit. Keep your mind open, like because we because we have been trained to be so rigid and narrow and black and white and conformist for survival. You know what I'm saying? There are some blind spots we all have. And sometimes you don't know what you don't know until you see it coming from somebody else. Sometimes you don't know that there's a way out. There's a third door. There's a fourth door in the back. Like, everybody's trying to get in the front door. Okay, but what about by the side? Or do I even want to come in this building at all? Is there another building to go to? Do I have to be inside at all? Like, this, I'm trying to tell you, as a person who hasn't even been in the workplace specifically in the past few years, it has been beneficial even for me, because it awakens you not just to, like, oh, okay, let me go back. It is important. What is going to be provided is important. How to survive a toxic workplace, like how to get your money, like how to do all these things. That's wonderful. But really, it's about, like, what I find, it's really about calling back your humanity. Like, that's like, if nothing else, you are for a weekend in a container of women who get it, right? You're also able to be safe. You don't have to say who you are. I think that's dope. A lot of people, that stops a lot of people from showing up, because who's going to be there? Who's going to judge me? Nobody. We're all there looking for liberation in the way that liberation calls to you. And I think that this summit is great because it provides so many different opportunities and ideas and, like, perspectives that you would have never thought of, because other people did that work for you in their own life to bring it to you. So you don't have to figure it out by yourself or flail around or be embarrassed to ask somebody whose focus may be conforming to empire versus trying to be free. You know what I'm saying? Like, and maybe they don't know that they can be free. So I think why people you should come for community. You should come for comfort, and also, like, to be like, I'm not alone in this. If nothing else, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not alone in this, and somebody has a doorway for me to enter into. I can say that 100%. I'm not even, that's not hyperbole. I'm not pulling it out the air. I'm being dead serious. Like, oh, wow. Even me sitting in there, like, wow, I didn't even know that was possible. I wish I knew that. I wish I had access to that when I was at work. I wish I knew that that was an option. Even when I was at work, FMLA, I didn't know anything about it. And I was depressed, diagnosed clinically depressed. Right. And I didn't know that I could apply for FMLA to protect my job, because my boss was coming for me in my job. It wasn't until another Black woman, my mother, told me about FMLA that I actually, like, oh, I have resources. You don't know what you have access to. And Black women are the connector. Black women are the resource. Black women are so generous. Like, they don't want to see you die at your job. They don't want you to see you die with your dream still in your heart. Like, I don't. That makes me sad. I don't even want to cry. That makes me sad. And I think about how, sorry. Wow.
No,
I think about
apologize.
how many lives Black women have lost, not just their actual life, but their dreams, their joy, their hope, their time, how much they lost trying to be good enough and were never good enough. Like, you're good enough for the life that you want to live. You know what I'm saying? Like, and these Black women here are showing you the way, because they did it. They did it, and it could be done. That is possible. And of course, what I will say, of course, it's going to be difficult to hear the new perspectives and ideas, because 30 plus years of indoctrination is hard to break in a weekend. That's not going to happen, right? But the baby steps are here. The welcome mat is here. If you would just walk through the door, you know what I'm saying? So that's what I want to offer.
Oh,
Thank you. Yeah,
Thank
and I think you're
you.
so right. It is. Oh, I'm sorry, Pearl.
no, no,
Okay.
I'm over here trying to hold it.
Like, reclaiming your humanity. Yeah, it is about that. Reclaiming your humanity, your dreams, separating your identity from what you do, right? Which is huge, and it takes a lot of unlearning. So, like you said, it's not gonna, like, all happen in a weekend. So please pace yourself, but let this kind of, like, plant a seed for what your life could be, right? When you awaken those dreams within you. Yeah. So thank you, thank you. I want to ask how people can connect with you both online and then support your work. If you want to share.
Thank you. Sure.
Mhm.
I appreciate that. Thank you again for having me for this time. I am. You can find me on YouTube at Alecia Renece. You can find me everywhere basically at Alecia Renece. AleciaRenece.com. Alecia Renece on. I'm on socials, but I'm not really on socials. You know what I mean? Like I'm there looking and sometimes thinking, but not. I'm not there. And that's okay because it's too much for me. But I'm there. But you can also follow me on Patreon. I think I'm actually going to be doing more things on Patreon. Just these platforms, just I don't know what's going on. The misogynoir, the drive-by like hatred for Black women. I don't have the patience or the capacity for it, and I also am not trying to audition for white men tech bros. So I think I'm just going to be hanging out on Patreon for the most part, creating, sharing my art. If you want to share, if you want to see updates of my art, I have them there. I have new songs on there. I have new ideas that I'm going to be sharing, new books. So yes, I'm excited. So yeah, you can follow me there. Thanks for having me.
Of course, of course. And Prill,
Oh yeah,
people
so
follow
I'm
you.
at Positively Trail on YouTube. I same as you. I'm not. I have an Instagram. It has no pictures. It has nothing. But yeah, that's where you can follow me. I'm working towards my getting the rest of my watch hours. I'm almost to the
Let's
monetization
go.
stage. Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, I would
Hmm.
appreciate the follow. There's a couple playlists that I wanted to mention that I have there. The first thing is exploring creativity. It's got a couple of my hat videos and just some of the videos things that I've done, my macrame, the metal arts, painting, making my hats. Another playlist that I wanted to mention was the Take Off the Cape. It goes into it's 3 videos, but it goes into the identity crisis that you may experience when you leave corporate or you start having these realizations. Also, the conditioning, kind of why we think the way we are, and then just to ask yourself, who are you if you don't have all these titles and don't have the things that we've been told, Black excellence. And then something that I've been working through my own self is the 10 days of gratitude for Black women. And I revisit that myself when I need to feel, like just to remember that all of this, as you mentioned, like there's a point to this, a rhyme or reason, and then it's about me. All of these things center on you and things that benefit you. So yeah.
Wonderful. Well, thank y'all so much for being here for this incredible conversation. Thank you for everyone who's joined us in the chat. If you're watching the replay, thank you so much. Again, the third annual 2026 Job Liberation Virtual Summit happens this weekend, May 1st through the 3rd. So you can register now. Link is in the description. And yeah, this has been wonderful. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you. Thank you for
All
having me.
right, y'all. Till next time. Bye.
Bye.